This program is brought to you by Dolco Media. Fixing South Sudan, ideas for the new nation. With award-winning journalist Mading Ngor.
Absolutely.
Honorable Ashwin, as you can see, the ideas of the initiatives are varied.
On July 8th, the clashes in J1 took place, which was very unfortunate.
Including country-specific ones, which
and the rebellion continue to be like
SPLA, hoist up the flag for freedom. 2011.
Fixing South Sudan, ideas for the new nation.
And welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Mading Ngor. This week on Fixing South Sudan, the nation remembers the sacrifices of the SPLA heroes on the occasion of the 35th anniversary of the founding of the Sudan People's Liberation Army movement on May 16, 1983 in Bor. In this special series, we focus on some of the stories and experiences of the men and women of the SPLA liberation struggle who fought gallantly on the battlefields of southern Sudan to bring us the Republic of South Sudan. Meet General Jok Riak, the incoming Chief of Defense Forces of the SPLA and a veteran of the SPLA liberation struggle. It's our pleasure to welcome him to Fixing South Sudan from his office in Bilfarm Army General Headquarters, Juba. Sir, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Comrade Mading.
We are speaking on the occasion of the 35th anniversary of the founding of the SPLA-SPLM. It's a solemn occasion because it's a day of mourning because of the people who have died and also a day of hope. You have the Chief of Defense Forces, and what do you have to say about this day that remembers your colleagues who fell in the battle and also others like you who are still serving the country?
Thank you, Comrade Mading, once more. This day marks the beginning of the people of South Sudan and South Sudan as a republic. And this day was a jubilant day to many of South Sudanese and other Sudanese alike. Many people from Sudan, the then Sudan, from west, from the east, and from the north and the center, add together to the people of South Sudan, did search for an armed struggle due to the oppression and marginalization of the people of Sudan by the central government in Khartoum. And this day was very important to the people when people started to voice and emerge from silence and started to conduct themselves in a matter where they would be free and liberated from the yoke of the then government in Khartoum. And for those who started to resent were the battalion on 105 in Bor, and as a consequence of disagreements between the southern soldiers and the northern system, which was concentrating itself in Khartoum and try to manipulate and the issues, the national issues, being political, being economic, being social in Khartoum to their own advantage. Then it was resented vehemently, and they started to defy the orders from the central government, in which requested them to be relocated or redeployed to the north. And the government lost its hits and started attacking the battalion in Bor. And during that fight, the forces that fought in Bor were little and could not resist alone without the support of the civil population, which includes the students and the officials from the government apparatus, including also the other organized forces such as wildlife, police, prison, etc., etc. And they did join hands together and fought that particular battle on the 16th May 1983.
What started as a single event became a full-fledged revolution, and it was to go on for more than 21 years.
Yes, because they said the energy is also the energy in waiting. You have the energy in waiting, then it becomes a full energy, and which orchestrate or generate the atom. And when it becomes an atom, then it vests and become a nuclear.
That
So-
war went on for a long time, and with war comes the cost of the war. Many people died. You fought in that war. What are your memories about that war?
My memories are so immense, and I couldn't even remember some of the events which we lost some of our dear comrades. But what one thing still remain in my mind, and it was when my comrade was hit beside me, comrade who was second lieutenant then, and Parenko. It is me who took his pistol, and that was the first time for me, first experience to experience death and see someone dying beside me, and especially as a result of the bullet wound. And I did not realize that it was shocking, but it gave me a courage to fight better and vigorously.
Many people fell in the war of liberation, and the fruits is that today we have a country called the Republic of South Sudan. What do you make of that? Yes, people died, and there is a result of that. There is a
Yes.
country.
Yes, there is a result, Comrade Mading, because there was commitment, and we could go back from 1983 up to the moment, we had passed through many periods, and such periods accumulated some pains and some dizziness to some other people, I could say, because some of us became dizzy and detract from the path, and but that means they lost orientation. You can lose orientation, but you cannot lose the vision, and some of them quickly recovered from that detract and came back to the real path and joined the move. And that move has so many challenges, and as you know, and even if you were so young, you were also one of the people who participated in the struggle, and in one way or the other. We did suffer a lot, but with the determination and commitment and revolutionary spirit, we managed to arrive to such a beautiful country in our possession.
Who do we remember on May 16? Who is being remembered? Who does the day belong to?
The day actually belongs to the SPLA first, and then belong to the SPLM, SPLA or SPLA SPLM, because it used to be SPLA SPLM, because we had two pincer approach then during the inception of the movement, and it was decided that if we are to emerge victorious, then we should adopt a strategy which is a pincer approach to the problem. First tool will be the SPLA, or first means will be the SPLA, because it has SPLM will have to be preceded by the SPLA, which later changed to the SPLA, SPLM. When the SPLA or the revolution became movement. So when we were revolutionaries, it was SPLA spearheading the struggle. And when we became movement, then adopting democracy, then it was now SPLA preceded by the SPLM, because it has now become a political will and or a political means to achieve the last victory over the enemy.
For South Sudan to be a country, many people contributed. The struggle of the SPLA was preceded by that of the Anyanya and the others who fought in one way or another. So when we talk about an independent country today, what are we celebrating? Is it a celebration of all the contributions of all of our people?
You see, this contribution goes back to a long history from Turkish Egyptian rule. And the interest of Turkish in South Sudan or in Sudan was economic, and that pushed them further south through following the Nile, River Nile, and that had consequences on the people of South Sudan, and they started fighting since then before, and then to be followed by the Anglo-Egyptian rule or condominant, and then to the independence of Sudan, and so many which preceded, was also preceded by Anyanya I rebellion, and so many other revolutions that started between Anyanya I and the SPLA. So we came a long route from far, and this is a cumulative of the people's effort, and such immense efforts and reckonable effort need to be appreciated and remembered this day. So it is not a particular day to the SPLA, SPLM, but to the entire people of South Sudan as well as people of Sudan as we speak.
We have to emphasize the fact that the war took a long time and it was very costly to the people of South Sudan, and people sacrificed so much. So what do you make of the fact that even as we celebrate this day that brought about the independence of South Sudan is still at war with itself and fighting itself?
And in my own view, I would say we had gone a long time, and we had maybe 4 periods: the revolutionary period, and the movement period, the transitional period, and the independent period. When you talk of this, let's begin with the last one, the independence period. Independence period embodies maybe 4 values or expectations. Is the freedom, the peace, and liberty, and prosperity. And these 3 or 4 combined together become toxic when they are mixed in one vision or in one view. And with the combination of the people of South Sudan, the diversity of the tribe, and the illiteracy overriding the people of South Sudan, and that also contributed to this catastrophic situation, and which become a dilemma to the people of South Sudan on how to handle such a surprise, because to many of us it was a surprise. You couldn't expect that something like this would happen during the course. But as our late chairman used to say, if you have to find your position in any situation. That means try to resolve, try to fix yourself when there are crises, when there are problems. Try to identify your problems and then come up with a solution. So, and people of South Sudan did suffer in our hands, and we need to sit together as people and try to bring amicable solution and have to understand and approach it in a careful manner and in a convincing manner. But why did this happen? Because of competing ideas. Others were fast in ideas, some is slow in ideas, and some is steady in ideas. But those who are fast in ideas become impatient. But the steady ones remain in their position, maintaining the lead, like what is now you have seen. Those who are patient enough and steady, they are the one now trying to control and resolve the problem. But those who were impatient continue to even betray people of South Sudan and adopted a strategy of betrayal than the strategy of ownership, which become patriotism.
You have now a difficult task. You are at the helm of the army, and you have a war-torn country, a country that is divided and has porous borders. What is the role of the SPLA in making sure that South Sudan holds as a country?
Yes, this needs a combination or a combined strategy on how you would handle such an engulfed country like South Sudan, which just emerged in the middle of the already established states. And the borders of South Sudan would be at stake. You would see people wrangling here and there, trying to have some little from the borders of the South Sudan. But that one will have to be approached differently, which also requires generous diplomatic and political engagement with the neighboring countries on how to resolve such issues. It is not every problem that is approached with the coercively. There must be diplomacy and other means of peaceful resolutions of the problem. And in my views, we will have to engage the neighboring countries and try to resolve our own problem. Coming to our own problem, which is internal crisis, which most of it is political. You need politics to resolve with the politics. But if you allow your internal politics resolved by the external, then you have a crisis. But if you decide to resolve it your own self, within your own self, like me, if I have a problem, that I need to sit within myself, convince myself, and then discuss within my inner side and see where did I really went wrong and how can I really overcome such emotion. Because we become emotional, and that is why we are not reasoning well. But if we are to embrace ourselves and try to listen to each other, I think the outside interference will not loom in and to try to make our coming together difficult. But we'll try to make home growth product that will be cheaper and affordable and acceptable to all of us.
Dialogue is important.
That is.
And you just came in, you are still fresh, you are still forming your policies, but there's immense expectations, even at your level, at your institutional level. The welfare of the foot soldier, of the SPLA, is one of the challenges, and there are many issues to address, and of course there are opportunities. What would you like to say about what kind of change are you bringing in to the SPLA?
Yeah, it is a good question, but sometimes change has a variant of meanings. Change means you find yourself as must change. It is me to change, not the entire institution. I have to change, and means which means I have to adapt to a certain principle. SPLA is an institution with rules and regulations, and with the principle and values that guides it. So the SPLA solely is paramount and important if we are to succeed. So it has two things. It requires, an SPLA personnel requires welfare, which is money, food, health, and other things. Then the second is equipment for protection, which means it requires also protection. Tools means when you give him a gun, uniform, so many other things, facilitation, transport, then you are now protecting his life. So these are the two challenging issues in front of us, but they are not just beginning today. These are the responsibilities enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic of South Sudan that all of us vow to carry on. So I'm not creating a new approach to the problem, but a systematic management of the institution. I would begin where my late CDF left, and would continue until my tenure ends. I would say my late chief is the best friend for me, and we had a lot in common, and having the same ideas for a long time. He's my cadet mate, and I don't call him the late chief because I don't call him the former. I always call him late chief because it's up to today is my chief of defense force. I still regard him until I go out of the army.
And maybe, as you have started, it's befitting to remember the man whose shoulders you stand today, and that is the late Ajong Amaud. And May 16 is a day of heroes like him,
Yes.
who have contributed immensely for South Sudan to be where it is today. What would you like to say in his memory?
There are so many things that I would say in his memory. One, he was talking very articulative about discipline, and that we should raise the bar of discipline high within the SPLA forces. And that word is encouraging and exciting to many of us because we need to remain consistent. Like when we were in the bush, we were so disciplined and committed soldiers to the movement and to the people of South Sudan. Now that thing is now trying to recall it back, and for us, so that we don't lose vision. I'm not saying that I don't have my way of doing things. I have a different mentality. I have my own personality. I have my own attitudes, my behavior. But commonalities are most important, and that is why I would always repeatedly say, Comrade Ajongo, late CDF, because you need to accord the lovely one a respect. I love him like other colleagues who have fallen before this, and also I like other colleagues who have gone, who are still alive and were one time either chief of staff, and like the rest who have gone, three of them have preceded us, and we also they have fingerprints in this army, and we have to notice their role as well. So I'm not concentrating on one person, but to the also mindful of the rest of our colleagues who had assumed this position.
But Ajong has set a vision of transformation you are willing to carry forward.
That is when you are when something is inherited, it becomes yours. Like the vision of transformation started earlier as 2005 when we came in, and it was General Weah who was in charge. Not General Weah who started it, who came up with the idea, but it was a vision and objective of the government of the Republic of South Sudan, and which is the policy laid down by the people and by the government of South Sudan then. and for the CDF to, or the chief of staff, to carry on and transforming the army into a formidable and reckonable army in the region, and a standard army to the standard of the world. This is what I started, and also given to General James, and from General James to General Malung, from General Malung to General Jongo, and to me. Now it is the period which determined. During those days, the situation situations were good, but relatively during the period of late James, late CDF, situation was at least coming down to normality, and we envision and focus on how can we really make the vision a reality. So
in this program, we speak of fixing South Sudan. And what can you do as the Chief of Defense Forces to fix South Sudan in your area?
The most important thing is peace and tranquility. If no peace, nothing can be fixed, because absence of peace is destructive, which becomes violent. So what we want to do, and which is not my vision alone, it is our objective that we have to, and a mission given to us by the Constitution, that we should defend the Constitution, integrity of the Republic of South Sudan, and protect people and their properties. These are the responsibilities given to us by the Constitution. So these sum together arrive at peace. So peace is the most important to be brought in, and there are many ways of achieving peace. I will not say that we would continue fighting. That is not the best way of achieving peace. But we will try. We will continue trying to sell peace to the people who lacks peace in their areas. So we will be selling peace to where it is not wanted, and we will make it commercialable and attractive, so that people embrace it. And this what I can say by saying it is peace that will have to be restored first, security.
And on May
6th, maintenance of security.
On May 16, again, we remember the sacrifices of many, many, many heroes of yours, heroes of ours. What would you like South Sudan to take away from the people who contributed for South Sudan to be what it is today?
Yes, those who made South Sudan vulnerable today are South Sudanese themselves. Some in diaspora, some within the country, and some lingering around here in the region. What I would like to tell people of South Sudan is that enough is enough. The damage has already been caused. So let us relent from such practices and consider the fate of our people. And for us to fix South Sudan and bring people together is a serious work, and which requires serious commitment. And we need to open up our minds, open up our hearts, and be realistic in our actions, and trying to embrace each other. Though you commit a mistake today, you have to be forgiven. But what I can say, we can forgive, but not forget.
General Jok Riak, thanks for coming on Fixing South Sudan.
Thank
you
you
very much.